So if you break down this competition that we're going to see in these subdivisions, they're all eyes forward on the final, but they have to get there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they do that in these qualifications. They have to keep their cool. They have to be normal. But all teams are extraordinary and anything can happen.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to season 2 of Flipping Out with Bridget Sloan, the Olympic special. I am your host, Bridget Sloan, and I will be joined each week by the one and only legend herself, Miss Kathy Johnson Clark. We will be talking all things elite gymnastics, including the competitions leading up to and during the Olympic Games. And for today's episode, well, the Olympics are here. And first, we will be discussing the qualifications for the men's and women's, the teams that we think will advance to the team finals, and the individuals to keep an eye on. Let's get into it. Kathy, we are back, but guess what? The Olympics are here. We've been talking about them for weeks, months. We've been they're here. This is the moment that it gives me chills just thinking about.
We're gonna be home alone watching every minute.
I know. And I think what's really exciting, and I've been thinking about this a lot, is the kind of inside look that we are getting from the athlete's perspective. You're seeing and I personally love the fact that we are seeing so many Instagram posts and just so many connections happening, whether it's through NCAA, whether it's through, friendly competition, of course. But I do find it to be so raw and real, seeing, athletes walking through the Olympic Village, which looks amazing. I am so jealous of that Olympic Village, but I do find it to be it's just amazing to see those athletes show us like that's a gift. Like, we are literally being given a gift of seeing what is going on in the Olympic Village from their perspective, from their view, and showing us all of that via social media. I love it.
And especially for a couple of reasons. First of all, I haven't spent more time on Instagram and Twitter in my life, which is an interesting adventure, actually. But I am enjoying it, and especially for the athletes that were in Tokyo and had a completely different experience at those
Right.
Olympic Games. We all did. We all
Yeah.
experienced the sterile, cold, like we're all thankful.
Mhm.
I was relieved that they were able to do this.
Yeah.
And most important, that they all got through it, because I also worried at the same time. We've talked about that before. So now to see them they are all like walking on air. I am enjoying every single dance. I'm enjoying the nail hits, like seeing all the different nails, which how in the world do you do gymnastics with nails? But we'll talk about that. Like, they all do it. And just hearing the joy, seeing the
Mhm.
genuine smiles, and embracing living in the village, which, let's face it, most of the time it's not the most comfortable bed you've ever slept
Right.
in.
Correct.
They had to figure out the air conditioning thing. They have to figure out, how to
Mhm.
fit everything in and share, share a space. They've got
Yeah.
roommates, the bathroom, everything. I mean, the village it's like college all over again, I guess,
Yeah.
in the dorm. Um, but so exciting, and you're around all those other sports. So yes, you and I are there. We are so thrilled that they get to experience what we experienced. And
Exactly.
that is the joy of the Olympic Village and being together.
Well, yeah, and I think, like you said, I think everyone was super excited about the Tokyo Olympics for different reasons because, for one, people didn't know if it was really gonna happen, and then obviously the success that the athletes had over there was incredible. I mean, you'll never be able to take that away from them, which you should never be able to in the first place, but this Olympic Games in Paris, I just feel like there's a different type of excitement. I mean, like you said, you can just hear from the social media posts, from the interviews, the excitement just oozes out of these athletes, and I think they're ready. I mean, I really do feel like from what I've seen from the interviews that I've seen, like these athletes are walking into this Olympic Games with a really different, from what it looks like, a different mindset.
Yeah. They're so mentally prepared and
Mhm.
physically prepared and emotionally. Um, and a lot of that we owe to Simone Biles
Yeah.
and all that she went through, and
Mhm.
it has lived out. And of course, they're seeing it on the Netflix documentary. How much everyone is learning, how important mental health is, in all ways too,
Yeah.
because everybody's journey with their mental health is different. The timing of things that
Oh,
happen in
yeah.
your life, um, all the different things that we have to deal with, and to see these women. And let's talk about that. There are women over 30 years of age. There are men over 30 years of age competing at the Olympic Games. Many athletes are in their mid to late 20s
Yeah.
in gymnastics. This is something that's very new. I think the maturity is wonderful.
Mhm.
I think the way that they support each other and help each other. I'm thrilled that Hesley is having the experience that she's having with
Right.
these particular women for all kinds of reasons. They've walked a path she's going to go. I'm assuming she will go on to college and compete. Who
Mhm.
knows? Who knows what's out there? But for her to be with these women, to be surrounded by this kind of maturity and experience and joy and gratitude,
Yeah.
taking nothing for granted, working for every single thing that they get. And I love, shout out to Scott Bregman, by the way, his tweet thread that I've been following. I mean, for the training today, it was so fun. I go, it's the next best thing to being there. And I called him the seventh man extraordinaire. He is like the ultra gym nerd. He's brilliant. He
Oh,
knows
yeah.
sport. So professional, but fan hype, loves these athletes, and it just comes through. So it's so informative too. So
Yeah.
shout out, I love it because I can really, I think we see the
Oh,
sport
yeah.
similarly, which is
I would
cool.
agree to that.
Right, so I can read between the lines and I can imagine what I'm reading, which is really exciting. So
Well,
I
Scott,
mean, it's I'm so excited they're going to do opening ceremonies and they're going to be so unique.
yes.
But then what you have to realize, the men start the
The
very
next
next day.
day. Yeah. Which I think that's the one thing I do, we in 2008, we didn't do opening ceremony because well, actually, I don't even know why we didn't do it. I'm sure someone told me and I wasn't listening, but I believe it was because we were competing very soon after. But I do think that's an experience that I do wish that we got to have, and we left before closing ceremony. So, I am excited about the opening ceremony, but I do think it is exciting that, I mean, the men are literally starting 5 a.m. Eastern time because we're sorry, guys, we're in the Eastern time zone. So they are starting 5 a.m. Eastern time, Saturday, July 27th for qualifications.
Yeah. And that's 11 o'clock their time. So don't
Yes.
panic. They will, they will get their good night's sleep,
Yes.
have time to have their breakfast and really prepare for the day and get warmed up. So I don't want people stressed out thinking, oh my God, because some of us competed very, very early at either
Oh,
one of
yeah.
the Olympic Games. I know I did.
I did one time and it was the worst experience of my entire life. There's nothing worse, and I stand by this statement.
Yeah.
Going into a competition when it is dark outside,
Yeah.
when the sun
It's,
hasn't even risen. The sun did not even greet us. I remember we walked out. I wanna say this was 2010 Worlds. We walked out and it was, like, blinding, the sun, and we were done. We were done at, like, 10 AM.
yeah. I prepared for that when I lived and trained in Chicago.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we did 2 a days, trained in the morning, went back.
Mhm.
By the time I ate lunch, rested a little bit, watched
Uh-huh.
probably a soap opera or two, head back to the gym. It's dark at
Oh,
3
yeah.
o'clock in the afternoon. literally dark as I'm driving to gym. That is just psychologically, as you said,
Oh,
kind of alarming. Like I'm going back now for the long workout. I've already worked out once, you know.
oh
So,
gosh.
anyways, but
Yeah.
these athletes, they are so prepared to handle anything. You could wake them up in the middle of the night and say, "Bar routine, go." I think they could
They'd
do
be
it.
like, "On it."
Yeah,
Yes. Okay, so subdivision 1. Pretty it's a good one. I am very excited for this first subdivision. It is the teams, you have Germany, the US, Great Britain, and Canada, and you have 2 mixed groups, which I'm gonna let you, Kathy, kind of help the people understand what a mixed group. I mean, it pretty much explains itself, but
yeah.
I know that you'll go into detail.
Well, qualifications is both for team qualifying to get
Mhm.
into the team finals.
Right.
So obviously that's important, but they're also qualifying simultaneously
Yep.
for event finals, which is why this is when the individuals who have qualified through all various different ways, which
Mhm.
we can go into, but just understand it was a little bit complicated, except for the straightforward. If you're team qualified as a
Right.
team, you go as a team. But many qualified through the World Cup Series, and then continental championships, and
Yep.
very, very exciting because we know a lot of the individual athletes, and some of them, a lot in the men, have are medal contenders on events. So keep your eyes on these mixed groups um, as you watch the teams because a lot is going on at the same time, including the guys on the team. And remember, two per country. So the top
Right.
teams, this is the heartbreak of gymnastics. The top teams could could easily put three or four in a final,
Oh,
and that
yeah.
doesn't happen. So
Yeah, and I do think I think qualifications, it's looked at differently. From years ago, it was all about, it was strictly about the team, and then whatever happened individually happened, where I do think there's a little bit of sense of understanding and maybe even a little bit of nerves going on because there's a lot riding on qualifications. You're trying to advance as a team. And when I say advance as a team, I mean the Olympic Games is a team competition. But like you said, there are a lot of individual athletes who are medal contenders.
sure.
So they're walking into this qualification without their team while also trying to make their dreams come true of qualifying for the all around for those events. So there's a lot riding on these qualifications.
Yeah, but I think over the years, and especially our team, um,
Mhm.
on the women's side, but really on the men's side too, because their goal for so long, sure, individual medals, those are wonderful,
Right.
but the ultimate for all of us is a team medal.
For sure.
And I've always felt that, and not just for the medal, but it's also the experience when there's nothing like competing as a team, especially now when you see the genuine, I'm talking genuine love, admiration, support. I mean, watch the men and the women running around the floor, getting
Mhm.
in places where they can cheer on their teammate. The men yelling through routines, encouraging them because everybody knows this is hard.
Yeah.
All the work that's gone into it. And then you add the pressure of an Olympic Games. This is the one chance they get to share that pressure. Yes, you're up on the equipment all by yourself, but
Right.
you feel, I'm sure you did, you feel the support. You did in college too.
Mhm.
And keep in mind, many of these athletes that we're going to be cheering for compete college. They do
Right.
this week in and week out, every single week, every year of their college careers. So they know how to tap into the magic, the power of teamwork. Yes, teamwork makes the dream work. Period. Amen. Hallelujah. End of story. Because when you're in it for yourself, it's just not enough. It's great,
Yeah.
it is not enough. So, and I've especially always enjoyed that with men's gymnastics. Um, as I said, I got to see our guys. our
Mhm.
teammates win an Olympic gold medal as a team,
Wow.
beating the Chinese, the defending world champions. There is nothing like it. And every single one of those guys talk about that team medal.
Mhm.
These men, many who were there, who won the world championship bronze medal, they know that feeling. Great Britain knows the feeling of winning an Olympic, like, so if you break down this competition that we're going to see in these subdivisions,
Mhm.
they're all eyes forward on the final, but they have to get there. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And they do that in these qualifications. They have to keep their cool. They have to be normal, but all teams are extraordinary and anything can happen, even when you can drop a low score, when
Right.
pressure is on, which they can do in the qualifications. So let's let's get through that, but I want you to keep something in the back of your mind. This is going to be a phenomenal competition for medals
Mhm.
in the men's team. You
Yeah.
have China and Japan, who arguably most people would say, inarguably, they're battling for gold.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then Great Britain and US, they are right in there. And then many would say they're battling for the bronze. I'm telling you, all four of these teams are battling for a medal, and they haven't determined in their mind what color it is.
Right.
They just know that they're in it to win a medal, and the battle will be fierce. And it's going to take, it's going to take their best gymnastics, um, especially when you look at the D scores. Like, we
Mhm.
can't ignore that. We've talked about that throughout all the qualifying process. Um, and a couple of our higher D scores are not in the mix because they didn't make the selection.
Right.
So that puts the emphasis on consistency, clean stick landings. When you can pick up those tenths of a point, and you can make up the difference between
Mhm.
those D scores. So I know the men are going in. They want to be normal, get through qualification so that they can set up their most flawless performance in the final. That's
Right.
that's
Yeah.
ideal. And all the teams are going to be trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to keep in mind, qualifications, this is one of the biggest competitions. No, this is the biggest competition these
Yeah.
athletes will compete in. And it is so important to stay in the moment. Do not allow yourself to get too far ahead. Also, do not dwell on what just happened. I mean, it is so crucial because in these qualifications, your next step is advancing to team finals. That is and it's just kind of like a hard stop right there. That's where you're trying to get to. And in subdivision 1, again, you have 4 teams that will be competing, and it's the top 8 that qualify for the team.
Mhm.
Is that correct? I feel like that's
Right.
correct. That's correct. Okay.
Yeah.
Questioning myself now. I'm
Yeah.
second guessing. So you don't have to be perfect as a team, but as an individual you do, which ultimately will help the team. I mean, it's kind of a tricky mindset I think sometimes to think about of like, well, if I do well as an individual, that will ultimately help the team. I think that's the easiest, most simple. That's what I thought about in college. I never thought about individual, but I knew that if I did well as an individual, it would help the team.
Mhm.
But you have Germany, Great Britain, Canada, and the US just in subdivision 1.
Yes. And with Great Britain and USA right there, it's like
Mhm.
it's almost impossible to not feel the intensity of
Right.
that competition, even though it's qualification. But
Yeah.
these guys have prepared to handle the pressure. This is as close to like trials.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
it's that same kind of pressure, because once they get into finals, then it's, what, you lay it all out there.
Right.
um, in qualifications, I don't mean it to sound like you go in with your foot halfway on the brake. It's not that at all. It's just you have to stay in the moment. And who
Right.
does that better than anybody and stays like Brody Malone? Like, they can all
I was
just
about to say, Brody?
channel their channel Brody Malone in the focus,
Mhm.
use the energy, and enthusiasm
Yeah.
that Fred brings. Like we've got some really
Yeah.
good dynamics with our men's team. And I know that that's what they're working on in the training. You hear them talk about that. I mean, they're focused, but they're
Yep.
pulling together as a team. They're really strategizing, I guess is
Right.
what I should say. And I've read that in some of the comments on social media that these training sessions are really an opportunity for the athletes to pull together as a team, strategize how they want to be able to focus, keep their
Mhm.
energy where it needs to be, um, stay in that moment so they don't get ahead or behind themselves. Like you said,
Yeah.
a little mistake or whatever. Like there's so much happening in men's gymnastics and so many events, so
Mhm.
many stages through a competition. So you really do have to stay in that moment.
Well, so subdivision 1 is going to be great. Every competition that you watch during the Olympics is great, but subdivision 2, I'm really excited about because it is for the teams, it is Ukraine, the Netherlands, China, and Japan. And then again, you have 2 mixed groups.
Yeah. I'm like, this was a draw. Really?
I know.
I'm
I
like,
thought the same
hello.
thing, Kathy. I was like, "All right,
Yeah,
who
here,
did
let me
this?"
draw. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm joking. They don't do that. But to have USA and Great Britain together, and then you've got China and Japan together, it's like,
Mhm. Luck of the draw.
yeah, light the match because there's fuel from day
Yeah.
one there. So it's them keeping their composure, their focus, and using qualifications to to get a feel for the arena, to get a feel
Yeah.
for the crowd, the energy,
Mhm.
and work together as a team.
Right.
That's the main thing. Is just don't we stay in our bubble. Talked about
Always.
that in college all the time, and even though the men are very open with their energy, you can tell they're very, very together. And
It's a
that's all the teams.
Yeah, I think agreed. I was just about to say, I think every team, they're all very tight-knit teams. I mean, every single team coming in, they've trained together, they've been together. These athletes know each other. They know what motivates them. They know what motivates their teammates, and I think that is what is so important throughout this training process is knowing when to back off, maybe during a routine when, "Hey, let them focus."
Mhm.
But also knowing when to get up in their face and be like, "You can do this."
Yeah,
And those are the moments that these athletes will take those are the moments that they'll remember. I
yeah.
can guarantee you that because there are moments from '08 that I distinctly remember where if it weren't for certain teammates of mine, I probably wouldn't have had the same experience because
Yeah.
I didn't know that I needed that pep talk, but they know I needed it.
Yeah. You learn what to say, when to say it,
Exactly.
when someone needs you and when they just need
Right.
quiet in themselves, like, because everybody is different, but you really get to know. Um, and it's another benefit of seeing the repeat Olympians on all of the teams.
Right.
In fact, I'm looking at China, four of its five members
That's
team
huge.
bronze in Tokyo.
That's
So
huge.
4 or 5 they were in Tokyo, and we've got a big number, kind of like the women on the women's side for the U.S.
Yeah.
So the experience there, but also this the how much more energy that they're going to feel in this arena, which is
Oh,
really cool.
yeah.
And then you've got Japan, who this could be their redemption Olympics for Japan because they're the defending world champions. So they just won the world championships uh, last year. And they have 2 team members that were on the Olympic team. They're silver medalists, but silver medalists. They did not win the Olympic Games. And now they have um, Oka Shinosuka. I don't know how you say it. I'm going to have to practice this. Back after tearing his ACL 2 years ago.
Mhm.
So that's huge. They think having him back is going to be amazing. So I just the storylines are really exciting for all of these teams. It makes for the best competition. Same thing with USA and Great Britain, because last year's World Championships, US wins a
Yep.
bronze. But Great Britain, they know what it's like to win silver. I mean, it's super exciting. They have tasted
Right.
this before, so they know they want it again. It's like
Yeah.
when it's food you love and you've had it once, it's like,
Right.
I want this again. So very, very excited for the men's competition.
Well, and we have one more subdivision. So that was subdivision 2, and then subdivision 3, you have Turkey, Switzerland, Italy, and Spain as the teams that qualified, and then again, you have 2 mixed groups, which, like you said, Kathy, there are so many amazing athletes competing in those mixed groups, and it is tough. I can't imagine what it would be like to be at the Olympic Games without your team.
I
I
can't.
I don't I don't know what that feels like. Well, I'll never know what that feels like, guys, because 'cause I'm retired, so we'll never know, but
Yeah,
I can imagine it can be really tough, and it's a different grit, it's a different mindset of, like, I'm here for one reason only, and that is to represent myself and my country as best I can. So I think you're gonna be seeing on the men's side especially, because I think the men tend to take risk a little bit more than the women's side. I'm sorry, I do. Calculated, of course, always, but I think that's gonna change with the women this year
so you're
because of
saying
the
men are from Mars and women are from Venus, I think is what you're saying.
I'm saying that all the
Something like
athletes
that. No.
I'm saying that all the athletes just have a bag of tricks up their sleeve, and again, I think from years past, I'm saying this year it will be different because, again, a lot of the women that we're gonna be seeing are probably gonna be throwing things that we haven't
Yeah,
because they've had those bags of tricks just sitting in their pocket waiting for the right moment. But I do think the men, they take these calculating risks and they do
yeah,
out of this world gymnastics. I mean, it's insane what
yeah,
these men are capable of.
yeah. They do have, and perhaps it's the difference in the events. Because like when I watch pommel horse, and you can tell when somebody's off, and they have to change
Right.
something mid routine or leave
Yep.
something out because it wasn't set up properly or they were off. That happens less in women. Sometimes on bars, obviously,
Mhm.
you can't make a
Yeah.
connection. You just cast again, and then so you don't connect it,
Way
but
you
you
go.
haven't missed. Same thing on high bar. Once in a while, they'll go the wrong way. Well, that would be disastrous for women. Much more, like
Oh,
it'd
yeah.
be much harder to cover that or add something.
Mhm.
No, but you're right. I think they probably have variations that they can do of a routine, um, and they also know what they need to do in terms. And so do the
Yeah.
women. It's like how much difficulty do you need to be competitive? How much?
Right.
How high does that D score need to be?
For sure.
I mean, Steven Nedorosik, that's a perfect example. So he's competing with the team, but only on the one event. Obviously, his goal is to contribute the highest pommel horse score possible for
Right.
the team so that they can qualify, obviously, into team finals. And then, of course, in team finals with 3 up 3 count, you want a
Right.
huge pommel horse score. But for him to make finals, because pommel horse is loaded
Oh, yeah.
with gymnasts from all over the world, the ones who are going to medal are going to do an outrageously high D score.
For sure.
So,
Yeah.
in order to get into finals, in order to medal, he's going to have to probably do his higher D score routine. How does that work? Like in terms of the risk reward management,
Right.
that's what will be interesting to sit back and see because his priority, and it's why he's on the team, is the contribution. It's not just because he's capable of winning a team medal, and he's world champion on pommel
Right.
horse, but most important because he was selected for the team in that process. They need, like, you have to manage the risk reward.
Yeah.
See what
Right.
I'm saying? So
I
I guess
do.
that's what we were talking about in terms of the dynamic of competing as a team. And that's an unusual situation because he is specifically a
Mhm.
specialist.
Right.
So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's guys, it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be amazing. I can't wait. But Kathy, who do you have in your top 8? Who are your top 8 advancing?
okay, so looking back, I guess I've been so hyper focused on this sport because I'm like
I know.
crazy excited to see Japan, China, USA, and Great Britain
Right.
if that all plays out. But I mean, all of these teams can argue with whether it's Switzerland, Italy, Canada, Germany.
Mhm.
I think those are the ones that I've highlighted that I don't want to say expect, but that's who I do expect. Those are
Yeah.
a top 8 that I figure based on how they competed, looking at the makeup of their team.
Mhm.
Some of the teams are different than I anticipated, so I did a lot of looking up individuals and seeing their strengths and what they
Right.
add to the team, which is why I actually still have Japan probably as my favorite for gold if all goes as planned. But it's going to be an exciting final. We just have to get there.
I would absolutely agree with you. See, I like a little drama. Like I'm ready to have a team sneak in there. Just a little, just like a little sprinkle of drama. I love seeing teams advance that people didn't think. Like they really counted them out. And I just think it's such a special moment for the team, for the country to represent themselves so boldly
Yeah.
and to just lay it all out there. So,
I mean, the U.S. men at championships, if you had
oh, for sure.
combined their scores, they would have challenged both Japan and China for the top spot in terms of a top score. That's how well the way they have managed this last quad in pushing
Hmm.
the level of difficulty. They finally got it. So when everybody
Right.
was on and everybody hit and they hit the higher D score cleanly, they were right up there, right in there. So that's still possible. They may have a couple areas where they're not quite as high in D score,
Right.
but if they are flawless, you that's where you get to see what you hope to see, a little shakeup of things,
Just a
because
little, just a
I mean,
sprinkle.
absolutely. So if US men are flawless, they
Hmm.
can challenge there because if Japan and China are going so hard because they are
Yeah.
both, you know, they both want that gold medal. I mean,
Right.
that's what they're competing for. I don't think either one of those teams is thinking anything less than
No.
winning gold. You have to take the risk there. So, as I said, that's when you may see, and Great Britain has a phenomenal team. I
Hmm.
love, I love their men's team.
Me too.
And it's going to be exciting to see Max Whitlock. Is this his fourth, fourth,
Third,
third,
fourth.
third, fourth? You
He
see,
is a veteran.
he is like, yes.
He is a
Uh,
strong veteran for Great Britain. And again, I think what we're seeing more and more of, and we've always seen it, I don't want to say we've always seen it, but on the men's side, you definitely tended to see athletes repeat. And this was their third, second, third Olympics. But we're
mhm.
seeing more and more of that on the women's side, which again, the experience that you get at an Olympic Games is just it's unmatched. I mean, the feeling, and I think for like we mentioned in the beginning, the athletes that competed in Tokyo, I don't even know if I would yes, this will be their second Olympic Games, but it'll be totally different.
Completely.
Totally different, which is exciting. I hope they can
Crowd
look at
with a
Oh, I know. Can you imagine?
an appreciative crowd. I mean, you and I talked about this competing in Europe, and people have
Oh,
just been
it's
waiting for
the
Paris.
best. It
Okay,
is the best. It is the best.
it is the best. And after the I don't want to say drought because it wasn't. They got to compete in
Yeah.
Tokyo, but this will be like massively different
Yeah.
and so exciting. And as I look at, I put together this pretty big list actually of the all arounders that I'm really looking at
Yeah,
in
it's
the.
pretty long.
It's very long, but but it has to be. I put three of the Japanese in there.
Oh, yeah.
Hashimoto Daiki. I mean, he has just been phenomenal. They Olympic champion, world champion.
Mhm.
His gymnastics is absolutely gorgeous. Um, there are a few routines in there that are just going to be highlights for me. Matt Whitlock on pommel horse, um, parallel bars. Joe,
Oh, I can't
oh my God.
wait.
So he is just about unbeatable. The
Yeah.
highest D score, but I like risk, originality, virtuosity, all the old school stuff with all the new school stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
it is one of the most fabulous P bar routines that I've ever seen. Um, I'm just and I'm excited for our guys. I'm excited
Yeah.
for Brody coming back from his injury to have this and Fred. I mean, he's right in there. Fred,
Yeah.
he's right in the mix for an all around medal.
I would agree. I would agree, and I think so. Let's see here. Just looking at the timing. So the qualification for the men is on Saturday. So opening ceremonies happen on Friday. The men have qualifications on Saturday, and then you take a day off. So it's basically you flip-flop with the women.
Mm-hmm.
So the men will go on Saturday, and we are going to politely and so seamlessly transition to the women here. But Kathy, the next time that we have an episode, not only will the Olympics have started, qualifications will have happened, and the team final by the time we talk again.
That's
Wild.
crazy.
Wild stuff happen
It's
here. If we have to
like,
do an emergency episode, we will do so.
okay. Does that mean we're on call? Yeah.
Kathy, we are on call. That's right. We are on call. But we are going to transition over to the women
Mm-hmm.
because they are starting right after the men. So they have qualifications on Sunday. This coming Sunday, the women have qualifications.
As you said before we started this, the Olympics just go by so fast.
So
And what
quick,
did I say? Except when you're
except if you're an athlete.
okay, when you're there, I, yeah. Maybe when you look back on it, you're like it flew by because
Yeah. No, I
oh,
was gonna say being there in the moment, you felt like you were there forever. I felt like we were there forever. Now I'm so annoyed at myself that I didn't embrace it more. I didn't take it all in more because it flew by.
mhm,
And as a viewer, I think it's exciting that you and I are both getting to really just watch these Olympics, embrace these Olympic Games, embrace the athletes, the routines, what we see, and be a true fan. I think you and I can both say that is it's really exciting to be able to do that and then obviously come on the podcast and, talk about it.
mhm.
But yes, being over there, it's kind of like you are going point 0.5 speed and then as a viewer it's going by 10 times the speed. Like it's just over so quick. So there's
Yeah.
a lot that is going to be happening basically within a 6-day time period for the men and women.
It's like you asked me, we talked about this moment. Sorry, I'm grabbing a photo because I did find it. When you say how things go by so slowly. So do you remember this? That's it. That's me before
Oh
being
my gosh,
grand
you
finals.
found
You see how I'm
it.
standing? Like, what
Look at
on earth?
you.
And my dad, no, it was not, it was, it was a moment that felt like it lasted forever. That's why you reminded me of it. Like
Yeah.
some of the moments
Mhm.
seem to take forever. I cannot
Right.
tell you how many thoughts I had
In
in
that
that
moment.
moment that if I go back and I watch the video, it was actually quick. So that's what I guess we share with fans. As you're watching, you can sit down, grab something to eat, grab a drink, you're watching, you're cheering, and it feels different when you're there,
Yes.
when your dream is like right there
Happening.
happening.
Yeah.
You're in control, and you have to go through those moments. And some
Yeah.
of the moments are awful. Like
They are. Some
they're
and that is
yeah,
yes. These athletes are going to have such highs, but they have experienced and could potentially experience their lowest of lows. I mean,
it's possible.
it is.
But even the moments that lead to a high, that lead up, there's no getting around that feeling. Yes, you're finding your confidence, you're trying to trust your training
Mhm.
and breathe and do all your mental cues. But that's hard.
Yeah.
Hard. It's complicated. You have to, and we rehearse it and you train for it. And
Yeah.
these athletes have been through the stressful moments, the trials. That's why I'm loving that they are balancing it with so much joy and happiness.
Mhm.
Um, each day, each day, you're not seeing, it's how you manage stress,
Yeah.
and you prepare. That I loved hearing that someone was very relaxed in training
Yeah.
today, um, and doing really hard,
Really good.
really, really good gymnastics.
Yeah.
Um, and she's such a good role model for the rest of the athletes there too. And Suni, the cool thing about Suni, based on what I've read from Scott, thank you, Scott. Um, like if she'd have a miss or whatever, just got back up, did it again,
Yeah.
and finally got it. It's like that's the process. That's what you have to trust. You can't panic just because you miss your first time up or you miss the second time.
Yeah.
You trust the process. Get back up, regroup, and do it again. And then she hit.
Yeah.
So I love that we're seeing that
Growth. I
growth.
mean, that is
Oh,
growth.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, it's on you.
Kathy, we are always in sync because all I'm thinking about is you're t you're talking about Simone and Suni, and we're gonna get into the women here in a second, but how they're doing such mature gymnastics, and you can tell they're relaxed. There was absolutely nothing about me that said, "Wow, Bridget is so relaxed out there." Nothing.
And
I
you're
was living in a
staring
state of
to watching
panic.
you. We would not have seen that. No,
Well,
it's
internally, it was just a state of panic and anxiety, and I was so nervous all the time. Honestly, I'm happy that maybe people couldn't tell that, but it is. I think, again, we've talked about this so many times, but I don't think we can talk about it enough. The maturity and the openness that these athletes are showing about their struggles, because this is real life struggles that they are going through that they are allowing the world to kind of be on the journey with them. And I
yeah,
think it allows for athletes to realize they're not alone. So at these Olympic Games, I can only imagine what it's like to walk into that arena and see Simone Biles up on the podium doing her gymnastics and realizing, wow, okay.
yeah.
It does. It's a sense of like, okay, I can do this.
And when we talk about growth, um, Jordan Childs just popped into my mind.
Yeah,
Again, what I read from Scott watching training today, that she just looks so good,
that's
just
awesome.
confident and prepared and strong. We're going to see some beautiful pieces of gymnastics really across the board. Um,
Yeah,
but this team, especially, has just built to this moment and they're still building.
right.
We've got
Oh,
podium
yeah.
still to come. And I just you can see the process is still. And you know I just looked down at sub one. How exciting that Romania
I know.
is back
They're back,
at the
baby.
Olympics. Oh, yay. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been a hard decade.
Yeah, that was the dynasty.
Hard.
I remember growing up that like Romania was they were they are. I shouldn't say they were. They just kind of
Yeah,
dipped and now they're
yeah.
on the up climb, and it is wild just seeing these teams come back,
Hmm.
and they are going to be fighting.
Yeah.
to represent that legacy in a positive light. And again, so subdivision 1 happening at the rightful hour of 3:30 a.m. Eastern time. I will so sorry, but I will not be awake for that.
Yeah.
But you are going to have Great Britain and Romania as the 2 teams and then 2 mixed groups competing. And there are a lot, and I know Kathy, you're excited about this,
Mhm.
but the amount of NCAA athletes competing as individuals,
You notice my
it
highlights on my notes.
yes, I did. Yes, I did. Of course I did, Kathy. I looked at those highlights and I knew exactly why you highlighted
Course.
them.
Not just NCAA gymnast highlights, but those are very
Right.
exciting, and that's a lot of them. But we do have some
Mhm.
individuals to be excited about to watch, and I'm glad that they get to rotate like a team. You mentioned you
Right.
didn't know what that would feel like. I was thinking back to back in the day when the US we didn't make a lot of finals at Worlds or Olympics.
Mhm.
So in 1978, my very first World Championships, I made floor finals. Okay.
Oh,
But it was the first experience that I'd had, not with a team in that
mhm.
moment. You march out with that
Right.
team. And I have to say, it was so cool. The other athletes were so supportive. So after, like,
Right.
even going to just making sure I was in the right place and right, at the right time. And they knew. So Nellie Kim and Elena Mukina, they tied for gold on floor. And I ended up winning a bronze medal, but I didn't know it. I didn't know it until we were marching out and I happened to glance over my shoulder and I saw the scoreboard and you can see me react. I'm like this, but I was just going to keep marching out of the arena. And they come over and they gathered me. They're like, come, because everybody was supposed to march out. And they're like,
Oh,
so they got me corralled to go up to get my medal because it was just
right.
happened right after. I had no idea, none. So that's and that was back before social media, before
Right.
we couldn't, we didn't have the same ongoing connection that a lot of the
Yeah.
athletes have now with social media. They're friends on social media with
Right.
athletes from other countries. So,
Right.
but that must be kind of what it feels like,
Mhm.
I would think. But they're used to being on the World Cup circuit. They do a
Right.
lot more competitions than we did back in my day.
Yeah. Well, so that is subdivision 1, and for the women, there are 5. So, for the 2nd subdivision, Team USA, again, it will be at 5:40 AM Eastern Time, and this is all on Sunday, so who knows? Kathy, maybe we should wake up and maybe we should talk to
Ooh,
each other through the, 2nd subdivision, but the 2nd subdivision is for the teams, it is China and the US and Italy, and then they have 1 mixed group.
yep. That's a
I think
that's a good subdivision.
yes. Yes, agreed. I think that is a really great subdivision. I think it's it's a good spot to be in.
Yeah,
Like, for the
absolutely.
US, it's a good, not in the 1st, they're not waiting, it's just a good place to be in my opinion.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, China is right up there, you know, for a medal. Same with USA. Obviously,
Mhm.
USA really shooting for that gold medal. Got to get through qualifications first, and then
Yep.
Italy coming off European team champions. I mean, they are coming in with a lot of momentum, a lot of
Yes.
confidence, and to
Yep.
be in the same subdivision with both USA and China.
You feed off of it. You
Yes,
feed off that energy, no
absolutely.
doubt.
There's your competition right there.
Right.
So you will compete your way to greatness. You will
Yep.
compete your way to the finals.
Agreed. Oh, I completely agree. I think again, like you and I both mentioned, it's a great and I do want to mention that the US is starting on balance beam.
I love it.
I was Kathy, I was gonna say that.
I'm sorry.
I also love it. They can get again, I'll be honest, no matter where Team USA started, I would have been like, that's a great position. But for I do like starting on beam or ending on beam because you either get to ease into the
Mhm.
you know how sometimes your nerves are they make you a little excited and they can make you a little jittery and a little bouncy, and I think this is a great opportunity not only to showcase the experience that Team USA has, but
Uh-huh.
also the maturity in their gymnastics. They are going to ease in,
Mhm.
not not hold back,
Yep.
but it's a great way to ease into qualifications. They start on balance beam. I love it. I think it's great.
So I'm looking at, because we're all trying to figure out what we think lineups will be, especially since you're starting on beam. I thought of something. 1983.
Okay.
We had a very young gymnast on her first world championship team, Amy Koopman. I mean,
Mhm.
very young, talented, gorgeous on beam, beautiful dancer, just brilliant on beam and floor. Well, every event.
Yeah.
We lined up to march in, and she was fine in warm ups, had a great warm ups. All of a sudden, and she wouldn't mind me telling this story, she had almost a panic attack, like anxiety,
Oh.
like seriously,
Yeah.
didn't think she could march in.
Oh.
Coaches are already in. I'm like, I've got my team. I'm team captain. I'm quite a bit
Yeah.
older than all of them, but now I've got our youngest athlete. She seriously doesn't think she can do it. Like,
Oh.
no, 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 no. Okay, in my head, no, you have to. You have to. And I just, all I did was I put her in front. I was like, do you trust me? And I like just deer in the
Mhm.
headlights. Look, do you trust me? You need to trust me. I've done this before. I know what this feels like. And this is the most horrible you'll feel. But the moment you walk in that arena and we get up on the podium, you're going to feel okay. I promise you. Just trust me on this. That when you get up there and then we get to warm up, you're going to feel okay. I'm like, please, please, please. Like I know that's true. I do know that's true. I think I know that's true.
Yes.
That kind of thing. She marched in. I mean, she was brilliant. Okay, first
Yeah.
she had a brilliant world champion, but oh my god, the nerve. So I'm imagining Hesley, who
Yeah.
is brilliant and gorgeous on beam. I expect her in that lineup. I
I am gonna say something crazy, Kathy.
What are you going to say?
I would love to see Hesley lead off. And I say that, hold on, before everyone starts chirping. I say that because she's brilliant.
Yes,
She is beautiful on beam, and I I would again, full disclosure, guys, I'm not calling the lineups at all. They're not even calling
I'm
to
okay.
ask me, so this is just my opinion, but I think her skill set is so strong,
Be a
and
beautiful. It would be a beautiful. Not that the other person I have in mind is Jordan.
she was my second one too.
So, so I go back and forth because I
Yeah.
see, I I get.
I see the benefit in
I
both.
think
I see the
Jordan
benefit in
might
both.
love to lead off for some
Yeah.
reason. I get the sense she would love to march in, warm up, compete.
And yep.
That first
Yep.
event. It's been the one event that's been a little bit of a, but she can do it. When her
Yeah.
confidence is there, she can absolutely lead this team off. And I think she would take that responsibility, um, and the
With pride.
pressure as a
Yeah.
privilege,
Yeah.
with pride and as a privilege. So I think she could take it and run with it. That said, I think Hesley could do so as well. She's so
Mhm.
well trained. She's surrounded, literally surrounded by love and support, and like
Yeah.
she could just ride. Like they will give her wings. Okay,
Right.
so either one I think would be a great start for the U.S.
Yeah.
on beam, and both of them, either one could do a great job in that leadoff spot.
Oh, for sure. No, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is subdivision 2.
Mhm.
Moving on to the next, we have Japan and the Netherlands, and then 2 mixed groups. And we have to, Kathy, we have to highlight some athletes in the mixed groups.
Yes. Not that I'm not super excited to see the Netherlands. I always love watching their
Oh,
gymnastics.
same.
Just such artistry and beautiful. And they
Mhm.
start on floor exercise. Um, they're just they're just such a beautiful team to watch.
Yeah.
So interesting, unique, the style, the artistry, such just love it. But looking at these mixed groups, we've got NCAA just
Yes.
all over the board. And how excited are we to see Luisa Blanco and Aaliyah Finnegan, Emma Malabuyo, and Levi? I mean, it's so
It's gonna be amazing.
it's so exciting, and seeing their social media, um, the photo of all of them together is
Mhm.
just so cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll cry. I'm sure I will. I know I will. I know I will because it just.
How many times is Kathy gonna cry during these Olympics?
I mean, these are athletes that thought their Olympic dream that they had when they were little
Was over.
was
Was
over.
not yeah,
Was over.
right.
Like, okay, but they've had just extraordinary, except for Levi, she's gonna have extraordinary college like
Yeah.
experience. Just it's gonna be amazing. Um, but there's just something about being able to suddenly have that dream come back to you
Yeah.
and have the possibility to live it and to live it as a mature grown
Right.
woman where you I mean I don't want to minimize what it's like competing at the Olympics at 15 or 16. God, I wish I knew what that felt like. Like
Mm.
it would have been amazing if I had made that 76 Olympic team and got to be
Mhm.
my, young self. But I will tell you this, the having an adult memory,
Oh, see, I'm jealous.
I that's what I'm trying to explain to you. And I remember a lot of my young teammates saying they wanted to go back to the Olympics to have one like mine because it is just different.
Yeah,
It just I and they're not.
completely.
You shouldn't compare them. They're both
Right.
they're both amazing. They're both amazing,
Mhm.
but it is sweet. So I'm extra excited for those athletes.
So, okay, so that was subdivision 3. So there's again we're kind of moving through these subdivisions, but there is still that you have to in order for these teams to advance, they have to be in the top 8.
Hmm.
That is going to be very challenging. I do think we might see a little bit of drama, a little bit of spice on the women's side because for subdivision 4, we have Canada, France, Korea, and then another mixed group
Yeah, with Lindsey Brown
with Lindsey Brown.
making history. First
I love
athlete
it.
to compete for Haiti. Like so excited for Lindsay. Um, and then France. I mean, that's going to be super exciting. I They look fantastic.
Yes, they do.
Shout out to a leotard. Did you see Melanie's leotard that she wore? They just shared a
No,
video. I guess it was in training.
the leotard game, guys. We could do a whole episode on the leotards,
Ooh.
but they're stunning.
They are they are stunning. Sorry, I got sidetracked, but I was like, wow, that was a beautiful the cut, the
Mhm.
design on it just really eye catching. So if you haven't seen it, look it up. It's on social media somewhere. Maybe we'll find it and share it here. I don't know, but it was really cool. Um, yeah, no, I mean, France just won a medal,
Yep.
and Brazil. Oh my God,
Oh,
I'm
I
even
know.
jumping ahead. I'm like going. I like it's especially cool for us from our era to see obviously the United States on top and going for gold again, but Brazil and France, emerging, and of course we saw Canada
Yep.
qualify, winning bronze at the World Championship. So, I mean, really exciting teams coming into these Olympic Games with so much hope to make that magic
Yeah.
again, walk away with an Olympic medal.
Yep.
So,
Well, because subdivision 5, so the final subdivision, the last one is Brazil and Australia for the teams and 2 other mixed groups.
Mhm.
So, as far as the teams go, again, it's not about being perfect, but it's about advancing for a lot of these teams, but obviously on the individual side, you wanna do you wanna do greatness, you wanna show greatness, you wanna be great, and I think that's what makes qualifications so exciting,
Yeah.
is that anything can happen.
Yeah. I think we talked about that dynamic because they're qualifying for all around finals and event finals.
Mhm.
And honestly, having been on both, I would say like all three sides. So I guess a triangle, being an, being an athlete, um, broadcaster, um, and fan.
Mhm.
Now you think differently in each one of those as you go through qualifications.
Right.
You really do. I will tell
Oh,
you
for sure.
with absolute certainty because as a broadcaster and as a fan, there's no way I cannot think as we're going about all around finals, event finals, and,
Right.
because obviously it's like we want all the best routines. Well, first of all, we love all these athletes. I'd love all of them to, make finals on
Right.
best events or in the all around. And that just numbers prohibits that. But as a broadcaster in television, I mean, having the very best routines. When we
Mhm.
see one of the best routines, we want it in finals.
Absolutely. Yep.
I mean, you want it in final. Same thing as a
Yep.
fan of everybody. Like when you love somebody, you want them in finals just because you love that athlete and you know
Mhm.
how hard they've worked. But again, two per country,
Right.
that
Yep.
alters the landscape completely. Um, but it's why we put and I make lists of my contenders. They're not predictions, they're not expectations, or
Mhm.
they're just there are a bunch of athletes in all around and in every single event that are finals worthy for sure. And then there's a handful in that list that are just gold medal worthy, silver medal worthy, and bronze
Right.
worthy. And one thing we want to emphasize right here, you win a medal. You
Yes.
win a gold, you win a silver, you win a bronze. And if you are fourth, fifth, and you sixth, seventh, or you've made finals doing the routine of your life to get into finals and you hit in finals, that's a win.
Yeah.
You may not have a medal, but that's a win.
Yeah.
Forget that because you and I always celebrate that because not everybody can win. It
I
just,
actually was thinking about this recently because I used to say we got silver,
mhm,
not we won silver.
mhm,
I said we got silver. And after you and I started talking about this, I was like, we need to change that
mhm.
response because you're right. We didn't just we didn't get silver, we won silver.
Yeah,
And that is every single athlete that competes at the Olympic Games, making it to the Olympic Games is a win-worthy story of its own.
yeah. Can I
I
share
mean,
something with you?
absolutely.
And people may not remember this. I don't even have to say what company it was. People can look it up and find out. But not only did I take exception to it in 1996
Mhm.
at the Olympic Games, and I was there with ESPN and ABC and just covering, radio and appearances. Fun way to do the Olympics, actually. Really fun. And appearances for, corporations and stuff. We had a blast.
Love that.
Yeah. But do you know that this company had a couple of ads out? One was, and it was like all over the Olympic, where everybody
Mhm.
gathered. You don't win the silver, you lose the gold. No, I I kid you not. I kid
No.
you not. The other one was if you're not here to win, you're a tourist. And I went, okay. I was
Oh my
on the
god.
phone. I was on the Women's Sports Foundation. Like I'm just livid. Like up
Oh,
here.
yeah.
First of all, as a mother, because I was, not a mother yet at that time, but later on, when I go, oh my God, this message, like stop,
Terrible. That
erase
is
it, take that
terrible.
back. You need to undo that. It was awful. It was literally awful because first of all, it's not true. And I go, well, I'm a two-time loser. I won a bronze. So I lost the gold. I lost the silver. God, damn,
Oh
got
my
bronze. I'm a double loser.
gosh.
And then I even had this conversation with a fellow athlete. He says, well, I don't know about you, but because she didn't take exception to it at first, different sport,
Mhm.
racing,
Yeah.
but a race. She goes, well, I don't know about you, but every time I got up on the blocks, you know, I was racing to win. And I said, and that's fantastic. And your times, your personal best were right in the winning times. Like, good for
Right.
you, like your personal best. But somebody could swim a personal best by seconds and maybe not be close, but they have just swum their personal best or they've raced their
Right.
personal best. They can't go any faster. Like, not everybody is in a position to win.
Right.
Maybe you don't even maybe your D score just literally isn't high enough, possibly.
Right.
So
Yeah.
what you're going for is just exceptional E score. And when you've scored your max and you have hit your perfect routine, that is winning in my book. Period. Amen. And we will always celebrate that. So okay, I will get off my soapbox. I will get off my but that has stressed me out since 1996.
I mean,
That
that would be
even
really hard.
yes.
And you have to think too, like we said, a lot of there are a ton of returning Olympians at these Olympic Games, which is incredible. But it used to not be like that.
No.
So it used to be very young athletes coming in. I'm not gonna lie, if I would have seen that, I don't know what I would have thought, but it probably wouldn't have been, "Oh, shoot. Look at that." I probably wouldn't have brushed it off if I'm being completely
It was
honest,
just
because
weird
that's
because most of their ads were phenomenal. Like
yeah,
the company has just done phenomenal ads. They just missed the
yeah,
mark on these two. And I
yeah,
don't know how or why, but I probably shouldn't have even given it oxygen again. But it just reminded me that that is the thing that everybody watching the Olympic Games needs to
right,
look for the stories because most people, you will never know the personal stories of many of the athletes you'll watch at these Olympic Games, regardless of sport. We know so many of the
mhm,
stories in gymnastics, but I'm just
right,
telling you that um, Olympian stories are so rich and they're important when winning a medal or not winning a medal.
Kathy, is that what you would like to leave the people? I mean, normally we leave a little
I,
piece of advice for athletes, but I
yes,
think it's important to let the I mean, it's it's important.
it is
It's
important. It is important, especially when, it's a sport in gymnastics. It's like, because my husband always tells a story to people. There are people who have said, when they find out, and they're like, oh, did you win a gold medal? I was like, oh, I won a bronze. And they're like, oh, well, it's just good to be there. Like, I go, no, it was really, it was really good.
um,
So in gymnastics, I mean, especially if it's the best routine you've ever done and it's the highest goal, like that's the max. And if it's a bronze or fourth or eighth, make finals or just,
yeah.
go home with a good feeling, like a phenomenal feeling that just can't forget that ever, no matter how many medals we win. Because now we win a lot here in the US.
Mhm. That wraps up today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed. This is Flipping Out with Bridget Sloan, the Olympic special. I'm your host, Bridget Sloan. Please make sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts because we will be dropping new episodes each week. Let's go out there and have a great rest of our day. Let's make some good life choices and don't forget to be awesome. Bye, guys.